Can somebody explain to me why people keep trying to Abraham Lincoln this man? I'm serious. I'm sitting here looking at this story, and that's literally the first thing that came out of my mouth. Because what happened last night at the White House Correspondents Dinner is either the most insane security failure in modern American history, or proof that no matter how many layers of protection you put around a president, somebody determined enough will find the gap. Either way, that's some bullshizzy. Let me break this down, because most of what you're going to hear today is political noise. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the audit. Let's look at what actually happened and ask the questions nobody is really asking. Here's the setup. The White House Correspondents Dinner, one of the most secured events in this country. We're talking Secret Service, Metropolitan Police, magnetometers, checkpoints, the whole operation. The president is in the building. The vice president is in the building. The entire cabinet is in the building. This isn't a campaign rally. This is a controlled environment with one of the most sophisticated security operations in the world running it. And a 31-year-old part-time teacher and game developer from Torrance, California, walked in with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. Let that sit for a second. His name is Cole Tomas Allen, 31 years old. Torrance is a suburb of Los Angeles. By all accounts, a regular-looking guy. LinkedIn says he's a mechanical engineer and computer scientist by degree, an independent game developer by experience, and a teacher by birth. He was Teacher of the Month at his tutoring company back in December 2024. This is not the profile of someone you look at and immediately think, threat. But here's the part that should make every single person stop and ask a very serious question. He was already inside the hotel. Not outside trying to get in, not rushing the perimeter from the street. Investigators believe Cole Allen was staying as a guest at the Washington Hilton, the same hotel where the dinner was held. He checked in. He had a room key. He was already inside the security bubble before any of this started. So now the question isn't just how did he get weapons into that building? The question is, how did he get weapons into that building while checked in as a guest at the same hotel where the President of the United States was about to have dinner? That's the audit right there. That's the question I want somebody with a microphone and a press credential to ask at a real press conference and not let go of until they get a real answer. Here's what we know about what happened. At around 8:40 p.m., Secret Service confronted Allen near the main magnetometer screening area. He ran past the checkpoint and fired. Security fired back. 5 to 8 shots total were exchanged. One Secret Service agent was hit in a bulletproof vest and is expected to be okay. CNN's Wolf Blitzer was standing outside the main ballroom and said the gunman was firing what appeared to be a very serious weapon, just a few feet away from where he was standing. Wolf Blitzer, a few feet away. Inside the ballroom, people dove under tables. Secret Service agents jumped over tables with weapons drawn. Trump, Melania, Vance, the entire cabinet, all rushed out. The whole dinner got canceled. Trump held a press briefing from the White House later and described Allen as a sick person who charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons. Now, here's where I need to ask a real question, and I want you to hear me clearly because I'm not asking this to be funny or disrespectful. Did this man have a mental condition? I'm genuinely asking, because who in their right mind charges through a security checkpoint at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives when Secret Service agents, Spec Ops, and what looked like Captain America himself are standing right there a few feet away? A logical person doesn't do that. A person thinking clearly about their own survival does not do that. You don't bring a knife, let alone a shotgun, to that particular fight and expect any outcome other than the one he got. So if this man was not operating from a logical place, If there was something going on mentally that drove him to this, then we have an even bigger and more uncomfortable question sitting right underneath the surface. How did someone in that state get that close? How did he check into that hotel? How did he move around that building? How did nobody on the ground floor of one of the most secured events of the year notice something was off? I'm not saying the Secret Service failed completely. They stopped him before he got into that ballroom. But the fact that it got as far as it did is a question that deserves a real answer, not a press conference talking point. According to sources, he told law enforcement after his arrest that he wanted to shoot Trump administration officials. That's the stated motive. No deeper ideology confirmed yet. No militant group, no manifesto, no organized connection. Just a 31-year-old teacher from Torrance with a stated target and enough weapons to do serious damage. Now I'm going to zoom out for a second, and I want to be clear that what I'm about to say is an observation, not a political statement. Make of it what you will. This is the third serious attempt on this man's life. 3 times. I'm not naming the other incidents. You already know what they are. I'm just pointing out the pattern. Whether you love him, hate him, or are completely indifferent to his existence, 3 serious attempts is a number that should make any logical person pause. That is not a normal pattern for any president in modern history. Is the threat environment around this presidency uniquely dangerous? Is the security apparatus failing to keep up with that environment? Or is something else entirely going on that nobody wants to sit with long enough to actually examine? I don't have the answers. I'm just the auditor. I ask the questions and let you think. What I do know is this. A man who by all outward appearances was a regular person, a teacher, a developer, someone's neighbor in a quiet suburb of Los Angeles, traveled across the country, checked into a hotel, brought enough weapons to start a small war, and walked toward a room full of the most powerful people in this country. And the system caught him, but barely. That barely is what gets me. Not the politics, not the name, not which party anyone belongs to. The barely. Because barely isn't good enough when we're talking about this level of event with this level of protection and this level of technology available to the people running security. We have facial recognition. We have AI threat detection. We have magnetometers and checkpoints and layers upon layers of trained professionals. And a part-time teacher from Torrance almost made it through. That's the bullshizzy nobody wants to talk about. This man was just sitting down to dinner, hadn't even touched his plate, and somebody decided that was the moment for the pew-pew. I'm not going to raise my cortisol over this any more than I already have, but somebody needs to answer some real questions starting Monday when this guy gets arraigned and the full story starts coming out. I'll be watching, and I'll audit whatever they tell us. As always, respect each other out there, and if something doesn't make sense to you, don't just accept it. Ask why. That's all I got.